It's time for a new classic Kentucky Derby cocktail. This right here is a Spire. Let me show you how to make it. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the Whiskey Nerd, and like I said, this week I'm making a Kentucky Spire, or maybe I'm making a Woodford Spire, because I think the original recipe came from Woodford. So if you're familiar with the Kentucky Derby, I think it's America's oldest, continuously running sporting event. They have this kind of classic cocktail, the mint julep. I have a recipe of the mint julep. I'll put a link to that up there. You can check that out later on. But the mint julep is that classic Kentucky Derby cocktail. But the combination of mint and bourbon doesn't rub everyone the right way. So I think this year Woodford Reserve came out with a recipe called the Spire. And I saw a lot of people posting about it on Instagram, online, about this cocktail because the Kentucky Derby just happened like 2 weeks ago. So I saw a lot of people talking about it. And I think it's a very nice little cocktail. It's quite simple, quite easy to make, but it does deliver a lot of flavor while still getting that kind of refreshing kind of cocktail you want, because it's quite hot. I imagine Kentucky is very hot. It's summer in Ireland, which is not very hot, but it still calls for a refreshing drink from time to time, and this is a very simple cocktail to make. So what goes into it? Well, we're going to start off with our bourbon. This is Woodford Reserve. You can use whatever bourbon you want, but the original recipe, I think, called for this, so I'm using Woodford Reserve. Also calls for a bit of cranberry juice and some lemonade. So this is homemade lemonade. You can see I've got the pulp in there. And for this, it's actually quite easy to make lemonade. I just made a simple sugar syrup, so 50 grams of sugar, 50 grams of water, made that into a sugar syrup, and then I added about 250 ml of water to get like 300 ml of water total. I just then added the juice of 2 lemons, stirred it up, and then tasted it to make sure I liked it. I found that to be slightly tart, but still sweet enough that it's quite nice and quite enjoyable. Some people online recommend for like each lemon to use 250 ml of water, so to use 500 ml. But this is, for me, my palate, quite nice. But obviously if you want to make it a different way, add a bit more water, a bit more sugar, a bit more lemon, you can play around with it whatever way you want. So that's enough talking about the cocktail. It's time we make it. It is a cocktail that you build in the glass. So I've got a nice ice-filled glass here. If you want, you can use those kind of classic julep cups with the metal, but I like the look of it in this kind of clear glass. So if you want, you can use whatever cup, but just I'm using this one here. Starting off with our bourbon. Oh, there we go. We're gonna go in with 45 ml or an ounce and a half of our bourbon into here. Because again, we don't really want to be drinking a lot. Like on a sunny day, you're gonna be sweating a bit, so you don't want to be over boozing it up. So you want a nice kind of long drink. This is gonna give you a nice bit of booze, but also not be overpowering. Next up, it is our cranberry juice. We're gonna go in with 30 ml of our cranberry juice into there. This is just store-bought cranberry juice. I don't have a cranberry juicer. It's unsweetened though. Again, if you like sweetened, you can play around and get a sweeter version if you want. And then next up, we're gonna go in with our lemonade. Like I said, this is homemade lemonade. Got that pulp up there, so just gonna give it a little bit of a shake around just to get all that pulp there. I'm gonna go in with 60 ml or 2 ounces of our lemonade into there, just like that. We're gonna give it a quick stir just to make sure everything gets mixed up properly, because you can see there's a bit of a layering there. Pop in just like that. And then, oh, that tastes nice. Oh, then for a garnish, we're gonna go in with a little slice of lemon just up there. And I'm gonna top this up with a little bit more of ice. Just into there, just to the top, just like that. And this right here is how I make a Kentucky Spire. Now real quick before I taste this cocktail, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey reviews like the review of the Woodford Reserve Bourbon, which there'll be a link to that up there, a link down below. I put out whiskey reviews every Wednesday. I also put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey every Friday, so if you want to see more like that, make sure you're subscribed. But right now, let's taste this one. Yeah, that's quite nice. It's quite refreshing. The oakiness you get from that bourbon, because this is unsweetened cranberry juice. Cranberry juice has this like slight bit of tart kind of flavor to it. The lemonade, like I said, I made it quite tart. I made it quite nice and like rich, so you get a lot of lemon flavor, and that all helps kind of pull together in the same direction. But it's not overpowering. It's not that oaky, spicy bite drying out your mouth, with the cranberry juice drying out your mouth, the lemon juice drying out your mouth. It's all quite juicy and bright. The Woodford Reserve comes through very nicely, like 45 ml of it. So it's not the biggest ingredient in here. We've got 60 ml lemonade, and 30 ml of cranberry juice, but it still comes through nicely. There's not a lot of competing flavors, so the bourbon does shine through, but it's back. It's not really strong. It's not a spirit-forward cocktail, so you can definitely treat this as a sipper on a very hot day, especially if you're at the Kentucky Derby. You can enjoy this. If you have any summer cocktails or summer drinks that you really like on a really hot sunny day, let me know in the comments below. But right now, I'm going to keep on enjoying this cocktail, and I'll see you next time. Sláinte.